Curiosity. Kill the rat. Curiosity. Kill the rat.
Hello and welcome to episode 2. This is so exciting.
We actually did it. We got around to making a second episode.
I know. We're actually sticking with this. This is wild.
I reckon if we get one more in, it could be officially called a show.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, welcome. You are tuning into Curiosity Killed the Rat, science podcast where we just like to chat about some cool, fun science things. I'm Kate and I like brains. I don't know why I did it like that. That was terrifying.
You're a bit late for Halloween, but I respect the grip.
I study neuroscience. I do postgraduate research in the field of neuroscience. But I love all science and I love learning and teaching all areas of science. So
And I am Matt. I am less of a scientist. My interests mostly lie in audio and music and sound, but I do still have a great love and interest in science. Wasn't quite bright enough to go down that university path as my dearest sister.
Don't sell yourself short.
Thanks,
you're
babe.
right. You do sound wizardry with these audio
Stop
files
it.
that I
Stop
could
it,
not
you.
even.
Stop it, you.
I don't even. Yeah.
Takes all sorts,
The point is, this podcast is a beautiful love child of our separate
symbiotic
abilities.
sibling relationship between learning and art.
Oh, wholesome. Love
Right?
it. And with that, would you like to know what you're going to learn about today?
I would love to know what I'm going to learn about today.
Well, I'm going to preface this with, I definitely chose this topic just because I know you have a hilarious story to tell about it.
Oh, no.
So I'm gonna let
Okay.
you go. I'm going to let
pressure.
you run wild
All right.
with this one.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah, today's topic, the appendix. Who is she? What does she do? Is she still relevant or is she cancelled? Can we take her out? Does it matter? Yeah, the appendix.
Oh, man, surely cancel culture as it is. Let's just, get straight to it. The appendix, it's not relevant anymore. Let's just get rid of all of them.
See,
it's
but
honestly
is
a
that
waste
actually
of time.
true? Is that true?
Ooh.
Is the appendix truly not relevant anymore? Some recent research has come to light that might actually, debunk that. Which is really
new
quite
things.
new things, new science about the appendix. So I'm basing all this stuff off a review paper that I read that was published in 2018. So this is in the science world, that's pretty fresh, hot off the press.
Yeah.
I want to hear your story.
Yes.
I want to hear your story about appendicitis, Matt.
Okay. So here's the thing. All right. Story time.
It's beautiful.
I don't have a great many things. I don't really have a good sense of discipline. I don't have great consciousness of my health, but above all things, I don't have an appendix. It wasn't always this way. I was once born with appendix, as most people are.
One in 10,000. Just one, I want to
Really?
just shoot that statistic in there. 1 in
Yeah, okay.
10,000 people is born without an appendix. But that's it.
Oh, what?
Yeah, crazy.
Oh, that's crazy.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
go.
Continue.
I am not one of those 10,000. I am one of the 99%. But one fateful day when I was 16, I had a great deal of, gut pain, a bit of stomach pain.
As people sometimes.
Yeah, as people sometimes do. Now, so when I started getting this sharp pain in my gut region, I first thought, hey, maybe this is appendicitis because I had a bit of a rational brain. I knew that could be a pretty common symptom of it. However, what led me to believe that it wasn't appendicitis was that I was feeling it in the wrong part of my gut because doesn't the appendix sit on the left side of your body or is it the right side?
No, lower right quadrant.
Lower right quadrant.
Yes.
See, I was feeling some pains more in the left or in the center.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, no, it can't be the appendix. That's not where the appendix is.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think oh, heck, what could be causing me this great deal of stomach pain? And I thought back to, what I'd eaten the night before. So our parents had made this absolutely beautiful tomato chili relish.
Oh, mum and dad,
made with,
shout out
balsamic
right now
vinegar. It's
to mum and dad's tomato chili relish. Oof.
I haven't. Yeah,
Takes me back.
It's fantastic.
So good.
However, I was put off it for a great number of years.
It was
I'd say
5
a good
years or something.
5 years, maybe more. probably not that much more because it's only been like 7 years since I got my appendix out. Anyway,
Yeah, okay. But still, several years. It was in the
Several
magnitude
years.
of years.
The reason that I haven't had this relish in such a long time was because I thought that the stomach pain was to do with a great deal of chili relish that I had had the night before.
He thought chili
So
relish
I
gave him appendicitis.
Well, I thought chili relish gave me the stomach pain.
But
so
you
that's why I
then
was
found
putting
out
off
that it was
ages and ages and
appendicitis,
ages.
right? Because you
That's
went to the
true.
hospital and you had your appendix removed.
And they were like, hey, yeah, your appendix is hella swollen
Yeah.
and actually low-key gangrenous.
Because,
we got to take this boy out.
that's how appendicitis pain actually develops. Like, it starts in the middle and then it, like, moves. And, yeah, it's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
But you got informed that it was appendicitis, and then you continued for years to not
Yeah.
touch tomato
Because
chili relish.
ever since then, like the smell of that relish and like the thought of the taste of that relish just made me feel so sick and gave me this like psychosomatic stomach pain.
That's
And I was like, no,
hilarious.
I had too much chili relish. And even though like rationally I knew it couldn't actually cause the appendicitis, I still stayed very, very clear of it until probably like a couple of years ago when I was like, no, it's too delicious to ignore. And
Yeah, no, fair.
whenever it's around, whenever I'm home. So, Mum, Dad, if you're listening to this, please make it for me next time I come down. I'm actually kind of craving it now. That would be pretty
soz.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, so the appendix, a wonderful organ that made you hate chili relish for a long while. Fun question. How big do you think an appendix is?
Okay.
So, like, for those of you who don't know, the appendix, right, is the small section of tissue that extends off your large intestine, like off the cecum there, it like hangs off. And like we all kind of know what it looks like, this little dangly thing, but like how long, because this blew my mind when I found out.
You know, maybe like the length of a pen, you know,
Okay.
with the girth of a beer bottle neck or something.
Okay, so yeah, that's probably actually very accurate. Whereas I thought they were tiny, but apparently they can range from like
really?
5 to 35 centimeters long. With the
30
average,
Okay, that's
the average one is 9 centimeters. So I'd say like the length of a pen is actually a probably very good estimate. But that blew my mind because I was like, that's huge. But they can be up to 35 centimeters long. That's obscene. That's like picture a 30 centimeter ruler and then like tack some on. Yeah.
That's like porn star length of appendix.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
It's almost impressive. I don't know. I would want to keep that in a jar if like, I mean, I don't have my appendix either. I didn't get to keep it in a jar when they took it out, but like, I want to know if my appendix was 35 centimeters long, would they let me keep it? Because please.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Do you know the old theory, or do you know like, what do you think the appendix
I know
does,
of
or what's your
an old theory.
Yeah.
So one of the old theories I've heard is that it goes back to when we were, you know, a bit more in like our primate stage of evolution.
Yep.
Where we were eating less good food, you know, before we'd started cooking food, where our diets were more similar to, you know, I don't know, like, you know, cattle and stuff like that today. And what the appendix did was it was just an extra part in our digestive system that allowed us to process grass and that kind of stuff. But then when we started eating good, better food like meat and other stuff, it grew redundant, but evolution didn't have a way to get rid of it. So we're just kind of left with it, and then it kind of gets fucked up and inflamed every now and then.
That's actually precisely, yeah, the old theory that I was hoping you would know. This is great. Now I don't have to go into it. Yeah. Because, like, yeah, it is pretty much like, it is widely accepted that, you know, the appendix probably did have a super important role when we were hunter-gatherers. Considering it seems like it's attached to the digestive system, you would think that it might play a role in digestion. Like, that makes sense. And there's actually even further support for this theory coming from the fact that some animals that are like purely herbivores, so like koalas, for example, they actually have quite big appendixes. A koala has an appendix that it uses, which is full of a specialized bacteria that actually breaks down cellulose, which is the stuff that makes up plant cell walls. So yeah, koalas definitely do use their appendix to break down cellulose in the leaves that they eat. And, you know, so it was kind of thought, you know, well, if that's what koalas do, like clearly that's what humans used to use it for. So that was kind of the theory for a bit, especially because, you know, we were taking people's appendixes out in surgeries when they were, and these people were seemingly fine. So everyone was kind of just like, yeah, we'll accept that as a pretty good hypothesis for the moment. But yeah, then this 2018 review that I read shows that there's actually been a ton of studies that have been done recently that suggest that this is not actually at all what humans use their appendix for.
The plot thickens.
Yeah, the plot thickens. But essentially, there are a few reasons why it's unlikely that, you know, the appendix is just a remnant of our dietary past, right? So first of all, we still have them. So like I said before, literally everyone, well, almost everyone, 1 in 10,000 humans are still born with an appendix. And they're not normally mutated at all, and they're normally perfectly functional. Like, this is in contrast to something like wisdom teeth, right? Wisdom teeth are actually showing signs of disappearing from the population. More and more people are being born without wisdom teeth.
Really?
Yeah,
That's actually really fascinating.
Yeah, which, because we don't need them anymore. Wisdom teeth stem from, I think it's like grinding down meat or something is what we used to use them for, or grinding. Something that we don't need to do anymore thanks to like cooking.
I think it was plants rather than meat.
Yeah.
I mean, this is harking back to information I probably read in like year 2 or something like that. But I think I remember hearing that, you know, your front teeth are for cutting. So that's for things like meat, but then your back molars and stuff are for grinding plant matter.
Yeah,
that's why you see cows and horses just chewing all the damn time, because they just got to break down that cellulose, because I don't know if they got appendixes to do that chemically. So they just chomp away at it.
Whatever it was, it's something, you know, that we don't do anymore. And so evolutionarily, wisdom teeth are dying out. The appendix is not.
Right.
So that's like the first kind of, ooh, the plot thickens. Furthermore,
Make the plot a bit more dummy thick, if you will.
with 3 C's.
Oh, dang, we at 3 already.
Already, I
dang,
reckon.
Dang, shouty. Aye.
So in like evolution, the appendix has appeared on at least 30 different occasions and has only disappeared like 12 times. So what this essentially means is that the appendix has, it's reappeared more than it's disappeared, which suggests that it has a real biological function for it, because evolution is pretty good at weeding out the useless things.
When you say reappears, is this like a case of completely different parallel running bits of evolution where it's appeared to like species that aren't related to each other just popped up later down their track of, hey, now you have an appendix.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's damn. Wow. Okay.
And so there was this really cool study in 2016 that looked at 533 different mammalian species. Essentially, they tried to figure out what was in common with the species that had an appendix. And they used this really cool and complicated computer modeling system to analyze the data on these animals, you know, habitat and social behavior, and most importantly, whether or not they had an appendix. And what they found was that there was absolutely no correlation between the presence of an appendix in an animal or its size and shape and dietary habits. But what they did find is that there was a correlation between having an appendix and intestinal lymph tissue. So I'm going to just take a second to explain what that means. Yeah.
Please,
so lymph tissue is it's essentially part of your immune system.
Is that just tissue that's not hard?
No, not lymph.
Not lymph.
Like
Okay.
lymphoidal tissue. It's
Like
part of your
lymph
immune
nodes.
Like lymph nodes, exactly, are part of your lymphatic system. Just like your lymph tissue is part of your lymphatic system. It's the part of your immune system that protects your body against like foreign invaders and stuff.
Right, okay, yeah. That's what I was going to ask,
Yeah.
because I forgot what the lymphs did.
Yeah. So it's you know, immune cells and protecting against pathogens that come in from the outside world, essentially. Which means that
I see.
Like the appendix is also
The body's
really well placed.
antivirus system.
Yeah, exactly. And the appendix is really well placed for that as well, because if you think about it, like our gut and our intestine and stuff is kind of our outside as well. Like humans are just giant donuts.
Oh, yeah, true.
Mind blown, right?
Oh, yeah, we're just like with a really twisty, shitty donut hole.
Yeah, and like the body, like our immune system pretty much treats our gut and our digestive tract as the outside. It has like the mucous membranes to protect it. It's like stomach acid is real intense, and you know, it's got very good defense systems in your digestive tract, because you're getting all sorts of like foreign particles and stuff like coming in your mouth.
Well phrased.
Whatever. And so your insides are your outsides. So it actually, it kind of tracks that like something that's attached to the digestive tract might not actually have a role in digestion, but in the immune part.
I see.
Yeah, which is really cool. And it really seems like this is the case for humans. Like they found it in like hundreds of these mammals that they studied. But, you know, when you crack open a human appendix, as one does on a cheeky Saturday afternoon,
Often.
cracks open.
Oh, nothing like cracking open a cold one with the boys,
Exactly.
mate. You know what I mean? The fellas get down with a couple appendices and, oh, let me tell you, some ripper bloody arvos. Oof.
God. Yeah, well, when you crack one open, you find a couple of things. You find, first of all, you find good gut bacteria. I don't know how much you know about gut bacteria and our gut microbiome.
Absolutely nothing at all.
Cool. Well, we've got a whole lot
Except
of
that
bacteria.
it's there.
Yeah, a whole lot of bacteria that lives in our gut. Some of it's not so good, but a lot of it is good, and it helps our body do things good, right?
Right.
And what can happen when you get like diarrhea, for example? Sorry to be gross, but you know this is just how it is.
Right.
What that does is it flushes through your entire sort of gastrointestinal tract, like your whole digestive tract gets like flushed out with this like diarrhea, and all of the good bacteria that lives in your body also gets flushed out. So what a theory is that since there's a whole bunch of this good bacteria and it matches the same type of bacteria that normally lines the intestine, possibly the appendix is a reservoir for this bacteria, so that after a good old diarrhea flush out, the appendix can help repopulate the intestine with the good gut bacteria. Good gut bacteria?
So-
Yeah, I can word.
What I'm imagining, right, is that, so if we imagine our stomach as a toilet bowl, right?
Yeah, beautiful image.
So,
Love it already.
you know, we'll do it in reverse. So rather than, we'll say that putting shit in a toilet bowl is like putting food in our stomach.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's filled with all sorts of nasty, bad stuff. And, we don't really want that polluting the toilet bowl. So when we flush the toilet, when we, take a shit, we get rid of all of that bad
Yep.
bacteria. It goes down. The water that's in the reservoir has got one of those, cool little blue coloring things in it that's filled with that stuff that, turns your toilet water blue that's at all those fancy houses that I recently learned when going to the shops. You can actually get them for only like $1.80. So I can pretend to be one of those
You can
fancy
pretend
houses
to be
now.
a fancy person. Hell yeah.
But that's one of those things is like the appendix. And when you flush the toilet, it puts all the good bacteria back into the toilet bowl and gets rid of all the bad stuff. So when you put your next lot of poop or food or whatever you want to put in your belly, goes in there.
It's all good and ready to party.
It clogs it up with, it's all good and ready to go to fight off that bad bacteria.
Exactly.
Like a multivitamin in your body.
Precisely.
A multivitamin's a bit of a less gross analogy, but you know what?
No,
I'm gonna
I
stick
loved
with
the toilet
one.
analogy because we were talking about diarrhea, so we were already down a pretty
We're already
shitty
in the
spiral,
potty humor.
right? Like this is where we've descended to. So I'm going to move right on from the toilet talk because good gut bacteria.
Flush that right away.
Good gut bacteria is not the only thing that you find inside your cold appendix that you've cracked open.
Cracked open with the boys. So it's not just toilet water.
It's
There's
not
more.
just-
Belle Delphine has
there's
more for
more.
us than that beautiful bath water.
Yeah, it's got like fucking immune ninjas in there. So it's really, really densely packed with a bunch of immune cells, including B cells, T cells, and wait for it, this is their real name. I love it. Natural killer cells.
What, mate?
Yeah, they're a real... Okay, so I'm just going to take a sidebar about natural killer cells
Please
for a moment.
do.
Because, honestly, natural killer cells only topped in my mind by Sonic Hedgehog, which is the legit name of an actual protein that's involved in, development and stuff, which I think that's my favorite named thing in biology is the Sonic Hedgehog protein. But
Yeah.
I tried very hard to find out who was responsible for naming natural killer cells. The only thing I found out is that they were discovered and named in 1973, but I have no idea who did the naming. But it's not very often you get to name something in biology. You discover a new thing and you get to name it. And normally they use ancient Greek and ancient whatever, natural killer cells are a type of phagocyte. Which
A type
comes
of what?
from
I'm
the Greek
sorry?
for to devour. Yes, phagocyte. Spelled P-H-A-G-O.
I'm sorry.
P-A-
That's funny. Oh, no. Okay.
P-H-A-G. Yeah. Anyway, it comes from the Greek of to devour because these cells, they literally eat the cells that they're killing. They consume them. They envelop them. It's really, it's
That's
wild.
metal as
But it's
fuck.
named after Honestly, immune cells are hell cool, and I want to do like a whole episode on the immune system because there's some like hectic shit that
Dang.
goes on, and I just want to go into it. But I'm just going to talk about natural killer cells for today. So the way these cells work, essentially, when a cell in the body is healthy, it produces this little protein on its surface, and this protein's called MHC1. But essentially, this protein like kind of protrudes from the surface of the cell and acts like a little flag, or like, you know, the little vehicle registration tag of this cell to say that like all's good in the hood and they can just, you know, keep doing their thing. Because like when a cell is infected, like with a virus, or a cell is cancerous, they actually stop producing this protein. So your natural killer cells, what they do, they're like the badass version of a traffic cop, right? That just kind of goes around doing routine checks on your cells. But when it finds one that's driving an unregistered vehicle, it like full on whips out its ninja stars and straight up assassinates that cell.
Oh, that traffic cop should be fired. That's
probably.
not ideal. But in the body,
this
I
is
do
why I
quite
say
like
badass
that, though.
version of
Yeah,
traffic
yeah.
cop.
That's good for the body. You don't want the bad things in there.
No, I mean, so they don't actually have ninja stars. They actually work by like binding to the sick cell and secreting an enzyme that dissolves its membrane, which is kind of less exciting, but still like straight up kills the cell.
Yeah, I prefer ninja
like
star.
Human cell killing human cell.
Oh, dang. That's
It's like they're natural killer cells, yo. They're like badass as all hell.
that's really metal. I really like that.
Yeah. So, and just wait until I dive into the rest of our immune system. It's so
man,
cool.
I can't wait for that episode.
I went down a bit of a rabbit hole today, but we don't have time in this episode. I could go on for hours.
That's all right.
But yeah, so like your appendix
appendix has those boys.
Yeah, it has those and a bunch of other immune cells. Yeah, so scientists actually think that the appendix may still play a role in immune function and disease prevention.
Right.
And there are actually a few studies that have found evidence for this. There's a few different ones, but I'm just like going to quickly talk about one that I picked from 2015. It found that patients who contracted a particular bacterial infection, which I'm definitely going to pronounce incorrectly, it's called Clostridium difficile. That's definitely wrong. Anyway, these patients got sick with this bacterial infection, and the patients that didn't have an appendix were twice as likely to develop a severe infection compared to those that did still have an appendix.
Okay.
Studies like this don't prove that the appendix prevents infection, but more research needs to be done maybe, or like maybe we should be thinking more about the necessity of removing an appendix when someone gets sick.
But it's evidence that points contrary to what we've all thought for a very large number of years.
Yeah.
Because we all thought it was just this
Exactly.
useless squishy organ sitting dormant inside us, just ready to burst.
Yeah.
But it could actually be useful.
And because we've always thought it's to do with like, you know, digestive stuff, it hasn't actually really been looked into correlations with immune function in people that have had their appendix taken out. Like tonsils, for example, right, are another thing that we kind of routinely remove. And it is well accepted that tonsils are involved in immune function. Like that's kind of their primary role. But there have been like heaps of studies that have looked into whether getting your tonsils taken out is going to make your immune system worse. And all of these studies have essentially found that any change in immune function after removing the tonsils is clinically insignificant.
Okay.
So it's highly likely that the appendix is the same and that removing it is not going to significantly impact your immune function.
So we're not absolutely screwed because we have our appendixes taken out. It's nothing to like cause a panic about or anything like that. You could lose you're a person who has neither an appendix nor their tonsils. Do you find...
Yes, and I get sick all the time, so I don't know.
No, I'm scared again.
I don't know whether...
I don't have an appendix, but I still have my tonsils, and I only get sick sometimes.
No, I have neither, and I get sick
And you don't have your wisdom teeth either, do you?
It kind of checks out. No, I don't.
See, I've still got my wisdom
all the
teeth.
useless organs, remove them.
Yeah.
Take them.
You don't want them anymore.
Yeah, no, I was born with a faulty body. Like, I've had heart surgery.
Back surgery as well, right?
Oh, I didn't have back surgery, but I did fracture my spine.
good, nice.
So that was a
cool.
thing.
Wait, story time for another episode.
Look, my life is a story.
We'll save, a story about your broken body for each time you cover a different part of that body.
Look, I wanted to sort of like finish the chat about appendicitis with saying, even though we're talking about, it might still do something important, like appendicitis is deadly.
Yeah.
Like that is just a fact. Like if it bursts, like that can and has killed people. And will kill
Yes.
people. So like, don't be like, oh no, I don't want my appendix out because it might do something to do with my immune function, and like refuse an appendectomy if that's what your doctor is like begging you to do.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
I don't want to be responsible for someone's burst appendix.
I mean, I guess the
like,
trade-off is you might get the flu a little bit more, or you'll just fucking die. So I mean,
yeah.
Gen Z, they might be like down for that, but you know, I'd say on the most part, avoid
Yeah.
death where possible. That'd be the advice I'd like. People to
Avoid
have.
death where possible.
you know.
Just think of your natural killer cells, how hard they've been
Exactly.
working just for you to not die. You don't want to let those guys down.
They've worked hard for their position, and you would just shun them of that for what?
You owe it to them.
Now, I'm afraid we are starting to run out a bit of time, so I'm going to have to drag us along to the part of the episode where we answer a question from one of our listeners. Now, remember, you guys can email us in any science questions you want answered by our resident scientist at curiosityrat@gmail.com. That is curiosityrat@gmail.com. For those who don't know, curiosity is spelled Curiosity, and rat is spelled RAT. That is curiosityrat
This is a
at gmail.com.
Subtle dig at Dad for misspelling curiosity.
Hey, look, I mean,
when
look,
he
to
was
be
trying
fair, I misspelled it as well, but I just Google corrected. So, heck, you know what? That might not actually be how curiosity is spelled. That's just what Google told me. I'm completely dependent on the internet. I have no functionality as an independent person.
Try sending off some emails. One of them will reach us, I'm sure. Anyway, today's question is from Soph, and she wanted to know, why do paper cuts hurt so much?
Oh,
Why do paper cuts sting like a motherfucker?
is true.
When they're just such like a bitchy little cut.
Yeah,
right?
they're-
Like,
it's-
why is it so disproportionately painful for what it is as an injury? So first of all, paper cuts tend to be on your hands, or even worse, your fingertips, right? Because that's where you hold paper.
Usually.
Like, you don't tend to try like hold paper with your feet.
Challenge
I don't know, like
accepted.
no. So that they end up on your hands. And did you know? Fun fact: your brain thinks about your hands like 10 times more than it does about your legs or your torso.
I did not know that. Though it is logical.
Yeah, essentially, you know, we're feeling our way through the world, quite literally, with our hands and with our fingertips. And so, like, when you get like a paper cut, your attention gets like super diverted there because you're always going to pay more attention to an injury that's like on a body part that you use all the time.
Yeah.
So you're focusing on your hands a lot already. And since like your hands and fingers and stuff are so important to feeling the world and stuff, they're actually covered with a much higher density of pain receptor than like, you know, your stomach or something. So if you got a paper cut on your stomach, not only would you be not paying as much attention to it because you're essentially focusing on the pain of your hands, which makes you more aware of it. There's also less pain receptors there. So if you cut your finger, you're damaging just like a whole bunch of pain receptors
Yeah.
in that like top layer of your skin.
Whereas if you did the same to your leg, there's a lot less pain receptors there to actually pick up on that.
Yeah, exactly. So it wouldn't hurt as much. And then the other thing about paper cuts is that they don't cut cleanly. Like if you think about the edge of a sheet of paper,
Yeah.
right? It's not like a clean, smooth blade. Like that thing is serrated as hell. Like it you know,
Yeah, I
it's
suppose.
going to have lots of little imperfections and stuff, like at like a microscopic level, but enough for your fingers to notice. So it's not just like a knife where you just kind of cleanly cut through your skin. It's like going at your poor little fingertips with a chainsaw. Like
Tiny
it's-
ass little chainsaw.
You know,
It's the trees fighting back.
yeah, ripping it to
Oh my
shreds.
god, it's the trees remembering where they came from. They got turned into paper and now they're taking their revenge on us. My goodness.
Revenge
It's-
is
it's-
sweet.
It's basically like the M. Night Shyamalan film, The Happening. Spoilers for The Happening, anyone
Yeah.
who hasn't seen that masterpiece. You know, the plot of the film basically is, you know, everyone just starts killing themselves spontaneously and no one knows why. And by the end
Oh,
of the movie,
geez.
they end up figuring out it's because,
That's
yeah, it's
horrendous.
a pretty horrible movie. And also it's like poorly written and bad acting anyway. They end up realizing that the reason that people are killing themselves is because the plants are fighting back because humans have released so much like pollution and stuff into the world. The plants are releasing this chemical that turns off the self-preservation part in the human's brain, just making them just yeet themselves off buildings and
shit.
stuff. So it's like a more realistic
That's-
version of the happening rather than releasing some chemical that gets rid of self-preservation. They're just turning themselves into tiny chainsaws and cutting off our fingers.
Funnily enough, though, one of the additional things that can make paper cuts sting a bit more is that paper can leave little like fragments and or chemicals behind in
Oh,
the skin,
no.
which can
Oh,
irritate.
no.
It doesn't make you lose all sense of self-preservation and off yourself, but it does irritate the skin and like the layer and stuff, and can make it sting.
That's just
more
what
and
they
give it that
want you
really
to think,
stingy
man. Okay,
feel.
they're keeping the secrets from you. The trees, they're fighting back.
Keep your
They're-
tinfoil
oh, no.
hat locked in your closet, Matt. Keep your tinfoil hat locked firmly away.
Oh, but it's so shiny and nice.
One final
Okay.
reason why
Okay.
paper cuts hurt so much. So since they're really shallow cuts, they don't normally go deep enough to hit a blood vessel, right? Which is why they don't normally bleed at all, if very much. The thing about blood is that it's got a lot of stuff that normally gets brought to a wound to help it repair, right? Like it's got stuff that helps heal the wound and also helps form a scab to provide protection and stuff. Like your paper cut isn't getting any of that because it's not getting any blood. So it's not actively healing itself as quickly and it's not forming a protective scab. So everything you do in your day-to-day life, like if you play guitar or if you just like anything with your fingers, really, you're just going to keep opening that wound and you're going to keep getting it dirty and it's just not going to heal.
Those trees,
because
man.
it doesn't get blood because it's a shallow ass little cut. So your body can't really do much. So that is why paper cuts hurt so much. So thank you so for that question. That was actually really interesting. And I hope you enjoyed learning about that and about appendixes. Appendices. I still haven't decided what the plural of appendix
It's probably
is.
something we should look up.
Oh, look.
Tell you what, if you follow us on social media, we've got some social media set up now. We're on Twitter. What's our Twitter handle, Kate?
At Curiosity Rat, same as our Instagram handle, and you can find us on Facebook
As well.
by finding Curiosity Killed the Rat as a page on Facebook.
And tell you what, we will look up what the correct plural for appendix is, and we'll post that on our social media. So you know,
We will.
chuck us a like,
We
chuck
will.
us a follow.
We'll keep you all in the loop. Yeah.
And don't forget,
Yeah.
you too can have your questions answered as well by emailing us on curiosityrat@gmail.com. Just had to throw that in there one more time.
All right. And with that, peace out, homies. Hope you learned something.
I definitely learned something. Hope you guys learned something
Chicka,
too.
chicka, wow, wow,
Science
music.
forever.
Wow, chicka, chicka, outro music. Wow, chicka, chicka, outro
I'm going to
music.
fade in the music to you
I'm sure
playing
there's something
that.
in there you can use.
This is going to be the end. I'm going to leave this in. This is the end. All right. Bye, guys.
Don't.
Love you all.
No.
Curiosity. Kill the rat. Curiosity.